everyone, it's Holly from Kentucky Keto Coach, and today is the vlog about the blog. That's kind of a weird tongue twister. If you're new here, this is where I come at you with an actual video about last week's blog topic. So let's get started. So I talked a little bit about drug addiction. That sounds so weird, but I just want to take a second to talk about what the blog was talking about in regards to sugar being a type of drug. We should really start identifying sugar as a drug. It falls into that same category where it consumes your life. It really does. I was a sugar addict. Listen, I was brought up on Kool-Aid, popsicles, Coca-Cola. We had Coca-Cola for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I know you can identify. I'm 44, so those of you who were brought up in the late 70s and in the 80s, Mom was a huge Coke addict. Coca-Cola addict. Our mother was not a drug addict. Please don't come at me about that. But it really set the table, so to say, for me going forward, not realizing that I had this addiction. When you realize that you can't stop something, or you have to wean off of something, or you actually have to detox off of something, that was a drug addiction. That was an addiction. When your body has physical signs of withdrawal, that is what addiction means. That is exactly addiction. And so I want to just talk a little bit about some trickiness of withdrawal. I want to talk a little bit about our brain and how we process, how we got into that situation in the first place, and how getting out of it is a lot trickier. It's going to take a little bit of willpower, but what I mostly want to talk about is the education. If you're educated about what to expect during the sugar withdrawal, then none of it is going to be surprising. Some people start the detox and they don't understand what's happening to their body, so they flip out and stop, which is not what I want you to do. I need you to get through the detox to get on to the other side. We can do this together. So what I want to say is I need you to understand what happens to our brain when we are eating sugar. So sugar triggers the happiness reward system response in our brain. That response is naturally there. Our brain produces the happy, euphoric, good feeling hormones such as dopamine and a few others. I don't want to go into all of that sciencey stuff for you, but I need you to understand that our brains produce that on its own. Those can be triggered by many things other than food and food. So when we get into a cycle that we are manually triggering that reward response, that's a manual trigger. You are manually doing a drug. You are manually, triggering that reward system with comfort food. And that's sort of how comfort food got its name, where we eat it and then we go, or we eat it and we go, bzz, 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 like with caffeine, which clearly I've had some. But it's interesting if we manually trigger our reward response. Our bodies, our brain, kind of get lazy because they can always assume that we're going to manually trigger it. If you think of an automatic car versus a manual car. In a manual car, you're driving that stick shift. You're changing that transmission. In the automatic car, it's doing it for you. So think of our brains as an automatic, but yet we try to take over with the stick shift. Okay, bear with me. I know, I'm a car lover. Okay, so when we eat the donut, that is a manual trigger. So we've manually overridden our natural automatic happy hormone. So every time we eat that donut, that's a manual trigger. So it triggers that happiness reward. So after years of manually triggering, I ate donuts and brownies and Coca-Cola and Snickers bar, oh, Snickers bar, or McDonald's, you know, and years of that, my body had gotten used to being manually triggered. And again, it got lazy on doing it for me. So during the detox phase, where you stop manually triggering, you're going to go low before you come up. And it's okay. Please understand, for me, I had 40 some odd years of manual triggering my reward system. So you can imagine the shock to my system. Actually, you know, I run these funny little scenarios in my head where I can kind of see my brain as an independent, you know, voice in my head, if you will, where, you know, the brain is kind of like starving for dopamine, and, you know, it gets ready to release it on its own because it should. And they're like, wait a minute, hang on a second. Any minute, she's going to give us that donut. Hang on. And then the next day goes by. She's just kidding. It's okay. She's gonna break. We're gonna break her. And they're holding back that natural dopamine, right? And I'm waiting for it. Out here, I'm waiting for it. I'm like, please. Because you're gonna get low. For the first week even of my detox, I was low. My energy was low, my happiness was low, my positivity was low. I just was dragging. And all of that is expected. I need you to hear me when I say you need to ready yourself for that. Because again, you've manually triggered this reward system for years. And so when you're detoxing, your body's going to hold back. Your body's freaking out. Your body's like, hang on a second. She's going to give us that donut any day now. And finally, if you can push through 4 or 5 days of no longer giving your body a manual trigger, it's going to be like, okay, I think she means business this time. Let's go ahead and give her a little bit, you know? And so it's so important to talk about what to expect when you're detoxing, because that's going to help you, you know, when you're waking up that 3rd day, that 4th day, and you are still low. I need you to know getting to the other side is absolutely happening, and I need you to understand that your automatic car up in your head is going to start driving again. It does take time. Remember that, you know, depending on how old you are, if you started eating sugar at maybe 2 years old, what is that? Maybe 2? So for me, that's 42 years. That's ridiculous. So please be kind to yourself and understand that the brain is going to do what it's going to do, but temporarily the brain's going to freak out and everything's going to be okay. Please comment below what your thoughts are on sugar being classified as an addictive drug. And I'm also wanting to invite you to email me or comment on this post about any suggestions. I have a ton of information. I am so excited to just come on and talk to you guys. I have so much to say, and I'm just trying to get it all organized and trying to stick to topics that you want to talk about. So if you have a suggested topic, I am so happy to talk about it. So let me know below. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see you next time.